Tony, would you please call the roll?
Kamei? Campos? Salas? Cohen?
Here.
Ortiz?
Present.
Mulcahy?
Here.
Dwan?
Here.
Candelas?
Here.
Casey?
Here.
Foley? Mahan?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Now, if you are able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Today's invocation will be provided by the Piedmont Hills High School Jazz Band, and Councilmember Cohen will tell us more.
All right, I'm so excited that we're in April and I get to showcase some of the great talent in District 4. Today we are I'm pleased to bring to you the jazz band from Piedmont Hills High School. The jazz band is under the direction of Miles Ellis, and this is a group of amazing musicians who perform and compete around the state. Recently they competed at the Folsom Jazz Festival, and several of the soloists in the band won awards there, so I'm very excited to hear what they're going to share with us, and we'll let the director, Mr. Ellis, introduce them.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome. It's wonderful to be here. Our selection today is Spain by Chick Corea, and we'll be featuring Katie Vu on the flute and Tristan Yu on the saxophone. bow, everybody. And a bow. Okay, and off the page.
Wow, you guys are so talented. Thank you. That was amazing. All right, we're ready for a city council meeting. Here we go. Thank you, guys. Okay. We are on to our ceremonial items, and our first ceremonial item will be presented by Councilmember Dwan and myself. Please join me down at the podium, council member, and we will recognize and proclaim April as Displaced Vietnamese American Heritage Month.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As we recognize the Displaced Vietnamese American Heritage Month, a time to honor the story, the resilience, the sacrifice, and hope that defines so many in our community. As a Vietnamese American, this month carries deep meaning for me. My story is like many others. It's shaped by the legacy of displacement. My family, like thousands of others, was forced to leave our homeland because of war and its atrocity. We arrived in this country with only the clothes on our back. Being in a country that you're unfamiliar with, didn't speak the language, didn't know how to navigate, the unfamiliarity and nothing was guaranteed. But we did what we can, and we rebuild. And our lives have been enriched to be here in the United States of America. This country allows us to be who we are, to have the freedom to say what we want to say, to become anything that we want to become. It's a powerful voice against the communists out there in this world. I am incredibly proud where I come from, my roots, my culture, and the strength passes down through generation. And I'm also equally grateful for the opportunity this country that has given me to become an American. The opportunity to grow, the opportunity to serve, and now stand before you as a council member for the city of San Jose, a place that embraces my family and allow us to call it home. Vietnamese Americans have shaped the culture, the economic, the civic fabric of San Jose in so many ways. We are business owner, artist, educator, public servant, engineer, doctor, lawyers, community leader, even as a council member. We are here not only because of our determination, but also because this city, this state, and this country embraces us to have a new life and a new beginning. This month, we remember the pain of being displacement. We remember the struggle of millions of people who have died on land, on sea, to seek for freedom. The freedom that so many of us forget and we take it for granted. I am so grateful to have that freedom. We also honor the struggle of our elders, and we lift up the voice of the next generation. We will continue to carry this story forward. San Jose proudly stand with the Vietnamese American community, our heritage and our strength and our perseverance. Thank you so much, and I ask that the mayor will give this commendation to Justin Vo, and I ask that our council member come on down and celebrate this month and stand with the Vietnamese community. Please come on down.
Thank you, Councilmember, for remembering the pain and suffering of our displaced Vietnamese Americans who we're so lucky to have here in San Jose. Councilmember Ortiz, if you would join me here at the podium, we will recognize and proclaim April as Cambodian Genocide Remembrance Month.
All right, I'll get started while my friends in the Cambodian community come down and join me. Good afternoon, everyone. This month marks the 50th anniversary of the Cambodian genocide, one of the most horrific events in the late 20th century. In April of 1975, Cambodian's capital, Phnom Penh, fell to the forces of the Khmer Rouge, who quickly forced the excavation of the city and created oppressive labor camps throughout the countryside. The regime of the Khmer Rouge became increasingly incoherent, drawing more and more people under suspicion for being enemies of the state. Vast quantities of people were thrown in horrific prisons and suffered torture, starvation, and execution. By the end of the Khmer Rouge regime, approximately 2 million Cambodians were killed, including the vast majority of the country's ethnic Vietnamese and Buddhist clergy. The United States admitted 140,000 Cambodian refugees who went on to build strong Cambodian communities, including here in East San Jose. Today, 50 years later, the city has a responsibility to stand with its Cambodian community and say never again to these acts of genocide. It's my honor to be with the mayor to present this proclamation honoring those affected by the Cambodian genocide and the strength and resolve of the Cambodian American community today. To Nancy Kao, one of the San Jose Cambodian community's most prominent peace and democracy activists, and actually one of the main organizers for the Cambodian flag raising ceremony that we had last week. Now I'd like to invite Nancy to please say a few words before she's presented with the commendation.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Kao, and on behalf of our Cambodian American community, thank you, Mayor Mahan, Councilmember Peter Ortiz, and the entire council for having us here today in recognition of the 50th anniversary of the Cambodian genocide that took lives of more than 2 million Khmer people in Cambodia. I ask that we give a moment of silence for the more than 2 million lives lost. April is Cambodian Heritage Month, proclaimed by the city of San Jose. Last Friday, April 4th, was our second annual flag-raising ceremony in honor of Cambodian Heritage Month and Cambodian New Year, which will begin April 13th to the 16th. Today, we pay tribute to the more than 2 million lives that suffered horrific acts of violence, torture, starvation by the Khmer Rouge regime, 50 years ago was just one of Cambodia's darkest histories, where a dictator decided to silence democracy, force his will upon others to seize power and never give up. Pol Pot led the regime, and with the backing of his communist political group, entered the capital Phnom Penh, and from there massacred over 2 million lives. Doctors, nurses, musicians, scholars, an entire generation of members of innocent people, my uncles, my aunt, my grandparents, cousins, that I had never met, all were massacred. My mother and her late sister were the two survivors. My mother pregnant, no shoes, but a small scarf, in the darkest of the night carried my two brothers, trekked through the jungles, blankets of lifeless bodies, innocent Khmer people covered in leeches, dodging gunfires, mines, soldiers, in search of freedom. She is my hero. She is resilient. Alone, she stood the test of time, protecting what is most important to her, her children, and our freedom. Thousands of Khmer refugees resettled and rebuilt their lives, their homes, their businesses, enriched their education in cities across the United States, one like here, the great city of San Jose, where they have proven they are resilient, contributing profoundly to the vibrant, diverse cultural, social, and economic well-being of our society. I am honored to stand before you today on behalf of our Cambodian community to accept this proclamation recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Cambodian genocide. I want to remind us all, genocide comes in many forms. The silencing of our voice is the worst. Once again, on behalf of the Cambodian community, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Peter Ortiz and the entire council for having us here today recognizing April, Cambodian Genocide Remembrance Month. Thank you.
And if my colleagues would like to join us for a photo.
Thank you, Councilmember, for that difficult but all-important remembrance. Councilmember Kamei, I see you're here. We are going to recognize and proclaim April 6th through 12th as National Library Week. I think we're welcoming down members of our library as well. Come on down.
Come on down. Come on down. As you're coming down, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today, we gather to celebrate National Library Week, a time to recognize the vital role that libraries play in our communities. Our library is more than just a repository of books. It is a vibrant hub of activity, a place where people of all ages and backgrounds come together to learn, grow, and connect. From children's story time to adult book clubs, the library offers many programs and services that promote literacy, lifelong learning, and community engagement. Our librarians are dedicated professionals who are passionate about helping everyone interested in finding the information and resources they need to succeed. Whether you're a student looking for a quiet place to study, a parent seeking resources for your child, or a retiree interested in exploring new hobbies, the library has something for everyone. As we celebrate National Library Week, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our library staff who work tirelessly to provide exceptional service to our community. Your dedication, expertise, and passion for learning are truly inspiring, and we're fortunate to have you as part of the community. I would especially like to recognize our librarian, Jill Bourne. Jill has been our city librarian for almost 12 years. Her incredible work ethic, leadership, dedication, creativity, and energy have been key to the successful management of the library in the city of San Jose. We are so lucky to have her. Thank you so much for all the work that you do and your amazing team at the library, the heart of our city. And I know that many of our council members and the mayor feel the same. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Kamei. I'm kind of embarrassed. That was lovely. As the councilmember said, National Library Week is a time to pause and reflect on the impact of libraries on communities across our nation. It is a time for us to recognize that libraries are not just buildings filled with books. They're a pillar of our community that provide opportunity and transformation. At a time when so many issues seek to divide us, libraries are places where all ideas live together in harmony. It's kind of an amazing ideal brought to life. In San Jose, we are dedicated to building lifelong connections with everyone who walks through our doors. Every day, think about this, our San Jose Public Libraries welcome more than 10,300 visitors. That's 3.6 million visitors a year. They loan about 23,000 items every day. That's 8 million items per year. And answer nearly 1,000 reference questions. Yes, even with the internet, they still answer 1,000 reference questions, which is over 340,000 questions per year. We have more than 700,000 active library card members, which is a testament to how much our libraries are valued by our communities. But these numbers don't tell the full story. Behind every visit, every borrowed book, every answered question, there are dedicated people making it happen. Our incredible library workforce who ensure that all the books are shelved, that the digital resources are available, that programs are offered, and that every question is answered. We are also really fortunate to have amazing Library and Education Commission, and we have commissioners here, Commissioner Brown, Mendoza, and Roney, if you guys could wave. They're amazing volunteers who assist us and guide council and library issues, along with our amazing friends, the San Jose Public Library Foundation, who work tirelessly to advocate for libraries. Together, we make the San Jose Public Library a place where dreams are nurtured and lives are enriched, and our community grows stronger every day. So I want to end with a quote from James Eliot that captures what libraries mean to us. A library is not just a place to find books. It is a place to find yourself. So welcome to the library, and thank you. Yay!
I'm going to also ask my colleagues, because I know libraries are important in all of our communities, so if you'd like to come join us, come on down.
Go first. All right. Thank you all very much. We are now on to orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda? Okay. Not aware of any, not seeing any hands. Today's meeting is adjourned in honor of David Michael Flaugher, who passed away on February 22nd, 2025. A devoted family man and community leader, Mike served in key roles with groups like the Santa Clara County Open Space Authority and Bay Area Ridge Trail Council, and was involved in neighborhood groups, including the Berryessa Business Association and the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council. His legacy of service and dedication will be remembered, and Councilmember Cohen will tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. Today we remember District 4 resident and longtime community leader Mike Flaugher. Was born on June 27, 1952, and as was mentioned, he passed away in February of this year. Mike left a legacy of public service, love and commitment to his family, and dedication to his passions. After graduating from Purdue University, he proudly enlisted in the Air Force, where he served for 9 years before working the Air Force Reserve for another 6 years. After his military service, he worked for 20 years at National Semiconductor, leaving a considerable impact on his field. Although his professional life and career were dedicated to tech, his passion lay in advocacy for parks, trails, and open space. His passion for nature and access to its healing qualities led him to begin his advocacy in the community as a volunteer with Santa Clara County Parks and Recreation, tackling issues in Penitentia Creek Park and Trail, then as a commissioner to the San Jose Parks Commission, where he served for 6 years. Many times, Mike would invite me to walk on Penitentia Creek Trail to discuss maintenance, water, trails, and parks. His passion for the environment was infectious and inspiring. Mike would spend his 4th of Julys with the authority staff, Open Space Authority staff at the Sierra Vista Open Space Preserve to ensure a safe and peaceful evening while conveying to them stories and anecdotes from his life, including his family, his time in the United States Air Force, and his love and respect for the Berryessa community. Mike's life was a testament to dedication, not only to his family, but also to his community. He held leadership roles in numerous organizations, including the Santa Clara County Open Space Authority, Bay Area Ridge Trail Council, Berryessa Citizens Advisory Committee, Berryessa Business Association, Santa Clara County Parks and Recreation Volunteer Coordinating Committee, and the City of San Jose Parks and Recreation Neighborhood Services Commission. He also worked closely with former San Jose City Council member Marjorie Matthews. Mike Flaugher is remembered as a kind, positive, and caring man who was a father figure of the community, possessing the skills and patience to assist with fixing problems. Mike lives on in the spirit he transferred to those communities and to the open and natural spaces that he helped to protect. Mike is survived by his devoted wife, April Flaugher, who's with us today in the front row, his daughters, Tara Gardea, Brenna Johnson, and Gwyneth Gomez, his sons-in-law, Jesus Gomez and Kurt Heath, and his cherished grandchildren, Marina, Callista, Haley, Ace, Noah, and Liam. He's also survived by his sister, Maureen Flaugher. Thanks for allowing us the opportunity to recognize Mike, and thank you, April, for sharing him with us for so many years.
Thank you, Council Member, for that beautiful tribute. We're very sorry for your loss. Thank you for being here today. We are going to move on to the closed session report.
Thank you, Mayor. We do not have a report out of closed session today.
Thank you, Nora. Next is the consent calendar. I'm aware of item 2.6 being pulled by Vice Mayor Foley. Any other requestable items? Yes, Councilmember Kamei.
I just want to, just for a comment on item 2.2.
Okay. Any others? Okay, why don't we do comment on 2.2 and then we'll go to the Vice Mayor.
Okay, I think that there was a little bit of misunderstanding in terms of process for our peddler ordinance, and I was asked to take a look at what was referred to on page 5 of the ordinance, a 30-day review, and the 30-day was really as a part of the city manager's ability to have any requirements. It was not a 30-day review of the particular ordinance itself. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I did send a message to that effect.
Okay.
So that's just a comment.
Okay, thank you for that comment. I don't know if we need any further clarification on that item. Otherwise, we'll turn to Vice Mayor Foley. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I pulled item 2.6 as the liaison to the Federated Retirement Board, and Councilmember Casey serves as the liaison to the Police and Fire Board. This is an update to the council on a couple of issues that arose in the last couple of years in relation as a response to a couple of audits we had both internally that the retirement boards had, and then both that the city had our own auditor take a look at some of the policies and procedures. So I offer these comments. In 2023 and 2024, the Federated and the Police and Fire Retirement Boards and the city, as the sponsor of these retirement plans, had disagreements regarding various issues, leading to the discussion of potential municipal code changes. In August 2024, the city and retirement boards executed a memorandum of understanding to resolve these issues. As part of this agreement, the retirement boards agreed to approve policies related to travel and procurement. The final policies were approved by the retirement boards at the respective meetings in January 2025, resolving the need for further municipal code changes related to the procurement. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. All right. I don't see any other hands. Do we have a motion on the consent calendar?
Move approval. Second.
Great. Thank you both. Do we have public comment on the consent calendar?
Yes, Chris, come on down.
All right.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Chris Giangreco. I'm the vice president of the Winchester Orchard Neighborhood Association, immediately west of Santana Row. Council member Kamei was referring to an email that I sent that's shown in your attachments to 2.2b as public comment. That was the last public comment that you should be seeing on your attachments. The 30-day period, 30-day review period is of concern to us as it relates to how does this process go, when does it begin, what chance for what opportunity for public input is there? I think we can work through Council Member Kamei with regards to that stuff. It sounds like it's kind of a moot point, but what I want to tell you about is that our neighborhood has been facing a public safety threat in the form of food trucks operating on Stevens Creek Boulevard that, in our neighborhood opinion, has caused a Vision Zero safety threat because of blocked line of sight for boulevard users. This is a serious threat that we've taken very seriously for a very long time. The city has been notified. We're hoping for final resolution of this. SJPD seems to be doing their part, but I would refer you to Daphne's email, the first of the attachments, that explains what we believe might be a viable solution for the city. 2 minutes is not nearly enough, long enough period to discuss some of these things or bring about our ideas, our concerns. I ask that all of you consider how illegal operations might be affecting your communities, and I ask that you call me back to the podium to receive and answer your questions regarding this issue.
Thank you. That's your time. Back to council.
Okay, thank you for the public comment. Do we have any other comments up here on the dais? Should we? I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, Tony, we'll vote on the consent calendar.
Motion passes unanimously with 2 absent.
Okay, thank you. We're on to item 3.1, report of the city manager.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I do have a report today on our no encampment zones. In support of the Reducing Unsheltered Homelessness City Council focus area, I'm pleased to share an update on the city's no encampment zones as we expand the shelter system to provide more options for our unhoused community members. In April last year, the city established its first no encampment zone along the Guadalupe River from Wa's Way to Julian Street. Since then, the Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services Department's Beautify San Jose teams have conducted daily patrols, ensuring the area remains free of encampments. No encampment zones are also being implemented on 12 miles of city-owned property along Coyote Creek, with abatements and signage installations scheduled for completion by June 30th. Signs have already been installed at Olander Park as of March 26. This effort is part of our commitment to protecting local waterways and complying with the state's stormwater permit, and will allow us to restore public spaces back to their intended use. Additionally, no encampment zones will be established around all emergency interim housing, or EIH, sites, safe parking sites, and the Taylor Street Navigation Center. All active EIHs will have no encampment zones established around them by mid-April. In addition to establishing and maintaining no encampment zones, Beautify San Jose uses several tools and programs to reduce the impact of encampments citywide. Last year, they conducted over 300 abatements and are actively managing nearly 200 encampments through sanitation services, including weekly trash collection, RV pollution prevention, and the Cash for Trash program. At the same time, the Housing Department is working diligently to expand the shelter system and a range of housing options. There are currently over 800 managed spaces available for unhoused residents, and we plan to add approximately 800 more this year. And I'm also happy to report that we already opened 200 spaces this year, and I'm confident that we'll reach 1,000 by the end of the year. I'd like to recognize the work of the Beautify SJ team within the Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services Department, the Housing Department, and the San Jose Police Department, and the City Manager's Office's Homeless Coordination Team, and our partner agencies for their dedication to maintaining clean, safe spaces while connecting people to shelter, housing, and services. It definitely takes a village and takes all partners to do this work. Thank you very much. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Jennifer. Really appreciate that report and all the progress the team's making along the waterways and enforcement of no encampment zones, and especially excited to hear that you feel we are on track for those 1,000 net new placements this year. That's a big accomplishment, something we should all be proud of. We are on now to 3.3. This is the interview for the vacant position on the Appeals Hearing Board. I believe we have 2 candidates here in the audience. You're welcome to come on down here. Got seats for you in the front row. Welcome. I want to thank you both for your interest in this role. We're joined today by Genevieve Altweir and Samantha Kay. Welcome to you both. Tony, do you want to share any thoughts on process?
There are 2 people to interview. There's one current position. It's currently vacant. The term actually ends in December. And because it's more than 6 months, this appointment is only until December. And whoever is appointed would need to re-interview in the fall. We also have 2 upcoming vacancies for December as well. So if you like both people, you can always encourage them to reapply in the fall, because you can only appoint 1 person today.
Got it. Okay. I'm sure it will be a tough choice, but I appreciate you both being willing to be here. Really grateful to you both for taking the time and for your interest in serving in this way. What I'd like to do is let you each open with a 2-minute statement of why you want to serve in this capacity, what you think you'd bring to the role, anything along those lines, and then we'll open it up to questions from colleagues. We'll give everybody on the council an opportunity to ask at least one initial question with a 2-minute response. I would ask colleagues to direct questions to both candidates so both have an equal opportunity to respond. And then if we feel that we need more time, we can certainly do a follow-up round, or we'll move to a selection. Does that work for everybody? Okay, seeing heads nod. Tony hasn't told me that's wrong. Okay, great. Let's see. Samantha, why don't we go to you first?
Sure. So Samantha Kay, I have been the resident of City of San Jose since 2013. And actually, I first moved to San Jose back in 2004. This is where I call home while I was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So over the course of the years, I've seen how city has been transforming for good, for bad, and and especially right now, looking at where the city is right now, I wish we would go back to where I used to know where the city is. But coming back to myself, this is the reason why I am looking forward to serve on the appeals hearing board is because I'm actually at a junction of my career where I have more availability to think about what can I do to give back to a place where I call home, and also giving back to the community I love. So in the past years, I have been working with variety of the organizations on volunteer work, and also including serving on the customers advisory board for San Jose Water Company. And a fellow appeals member mentioned to me that the opportunity is coming up, and given my internal audit background, and also I have had experience of working with various governmental agencies, as well as my family background in general construction and specialize in working with government and commercial real estate. He feels I might be a good candidate to serve on the board.
Great. Thank you very much. Genevieve?
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Genevieve Altwer. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a private practice here in San Jose. I grew up in San Jose. I've lived here basically my whole life in District 9. I treat adults who are living with depression, PTSD, anxiety, all the things that come with living in Silicon Valley. And in my prior work life, I was a police officer for the city of San Mateo for 13 years. I left that job and went back to school to become a therapist. So I do work with first responders in that respect as well. Along those lines, I am familiar with code enforcement. I'm familiar with reading ordinances, translating them, and I also have firsthand experience as a first responder being in the homes and dwellings and businesses of the folks that are coming in for these hearings. And so I do think that that gives me a different lens of how to receive this information that's brought to the Appeals Hearing Board and make decisions from a place that's thoughtful. I went to San Jose State. I'm a happy graduate from San Jose State, and I have graduate degrees in criminal justice and counseling psychology. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both. Okay. Let me turn to colleagues. We'll go to Vice Mayor Foley first.
Thank you both for applying for this position on the appeals board. I actually just have one question. Do either of you, or could you describe any experiences that you've had with code enforcement, positive, negative, neutral, doesn't matter, just any experience, and if you could be specific? Thank you. Genevieve, why don't you start since
okay.
you ended?
I think the majority of my experience with them has been in a work capacity. So in my former work as a police officer, just working alongside code enforcement, but nothing significant. I can't even think of a particular case from back at that time. I don't have any personal experience with code enforcement in the city of San Jose.
My experience indirectly working with the city while I was serving on the condominium homeowners association, the community's pool had code violations, so we worked through the contractors on corrective action plans.
Okay. Thank you both for your answers. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Let me turn to other colleagues. Anyone else want to jump in with a question? I can ask one instead. Okay. Question I'd like to ask is, if you're selected to serve on this board, you'll be tasked with reviewing and making recommendations to enforce various municipal codes and any city laws or rules. Inevitably, you will come across cases where you may not believe that the law or the code is quite aligned with what you believe is right. And in those cases, I'm curious, I think it's really important to hear from each of you how you will reconcile the conflict between what you personally believe is right versus applying the law. And we started last time with Genevieve, I think, so maybe we'll go to Samantha next.
So I can draw the experience when I was working with FDA on the corporate integrity agreement compliance. I personally, I didn't quite believe in the procedures FDA was trying to enforce. Having said that, back then my job was helping clients comply with the rules. I did provided my feedback to the Inspector General on things could be more efficient, but again, that was wasn't part of my work scope.
Thank you.
So I think of the word safety in response to that question, and I think about it in terms of safety of the community members in regards to physical safety, like dwellings and open space, potential hazards. And then I think there's, as a therapist, I have to say, there's an emotional safety component to this too, making sure that our community members who are going through this process are getting a fair process. I've been attending and observing the meetings since November, whether in person or virtually, and I think our city's code enforcement is outstanding in the way that they make sure they educate the folks who are going through these processes. When it comes to agreeing or disagreeing or maybe not being completely in alignment with a policy or procedure, I'm a person who very much respects laws, rules, policy, procedure. I think they exist for a reason. They keep us safe. So I do think that I have experience being able to be in alignment with the law, even if it goes against a personal belief at times.
Okay, great. I appreciate both of your answers on that. Thank you. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank both Samantha and Genevieve for both applying and joining today's meeting. I know that it could be fairly intense to show up to a city council meeting and answer questions from council members, so I just want to just thank you for your courage to do so. My question is, when you're on this committee, you're going to be making decisions that may impact residents here in the city. And for one of those examples are blighted properties. And in all of our districts, we all have blighted properties where it could be an individual who's down on their luck, you know, and they don't have the resources to address it. But outside of that, one individual's experience, there's a lot of greater impact to the surrounding community, right? So I wanted to ask, how would you balance an empathetic approach for enforcement while also understanding the real impacts of blighted properties and how they in fact impact residents in the area?
So there are a lot of city resources we might be able to solicit for assistance to support the residents to comply with the rules and regulations. And sometimes some person may just need more time, but in other cases, at least the few meetings I have gone to at the appeals hearing board is that the city has given the residents plenty notification, in some cases maybe 2 or 3 years. And so it really based on situations, but I do believe personally, I do believe in order to resolve difficult situation, carrots is always better than stick.
I attended the study session that code enforcement did back in February with the appeals board, and they really thoughtfully and carefully went through the whole process of how a case actually makes it to the appeals hearing board. And it is a long and lengthy process that includes a lot of education, a lot of providing awareness to the appellant. And so I do believe by the time the appellant makes it to an appeals hearing board, there has been a lot of that back and forth communication from code enforcement. I think to answer your question more directly, and I have to admit I don't have full knowledge of this part yet, but when it comes to assigning fees or that punitive action, I do believe that it matters that we take the whole picture into account as a board, or at least I will as an individual, before making those decisions on implementing fines on folks who may not have the resources or the ability to keep up with those payments. Yeah.
Thank you both for your answers.
Thank you, council member. Thank you for your answers. Do we have any other questions from the council? I'm not seeing any other hands. Okay. Tony, do you have a paper ballot for us, or how do you want to do this? Okay, we'll go to the paper ballot.
Please make sure you write your name on the bottom where it says your name. And then when you're done, just put them on the ledge in front of you, and Yasmin will come and pick them up. This will take a second if you guys want to go get a coffee. Can you, okay, so I have 8 selections for Genevieve. So Genevieve is appointed.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Congratulations to Genevieve. Samantha, thank you for applying. I heard there was another opening, Tony, you said.
Yes, there are 3 openings in December 20.
In December, so Samantha, something to think about. I'll just say for the record, I thought you both had very strong applications. Appreciated how much thought you put into the applications. Thank you, and congratulations, Genevieve, and thank you, Samantha, for applying.
I want to do a verbal correction that it's 9, not 8. It was unanimous.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you both very much. Have a great afternoon. Okay, we are on to our next item. Let me catch up here. We're on to item 3.4. This is the review of the retirement plans, pension and post-employment healthcare plan actuarial valuations as of June 30th of 2024. I see John is here, our Director of Retirement Services, and we have a presentation. Welcome.
Good afternoon. John Flynn, Director of Retirement Services. With me today, I have Bill Hallmark, our Systems Actuary, and Barbara Heyman, our Deputy Director.
Welcome.
The valuations included in today's agenda item and the presentation is based upon were prepared by the board's actuary consultant, Chiron. The reports and their content have been prepared in accordance with generally recognized and accepted actuarial principles and practices which are consistent with the Code of Professional Conduct and applicable actuarial standards of practice set by the Actuarial Standards Board. The funding ratio on the actuarial evaluation basis increased for both plans. The increase in the funded status is mainly due to the increase in the actuarial value, which is due to the asset smoothing method recognizing 20% of gains from the most recent fiscal year. The funding ratio for all pension and OPEB plans increased the valuation as of June 30th, from the valuation as of June 30th, 2023 to the valuation as of June 30th, 2024. While the actuarial liability of the plans increased, the asset sizes increased at a greater rate, thus resulting in a decrease in actuarial, in the unfunded actuarial liability and an increase in the funded ratios. From the data available from fiscal year 23, the median pension plan funding ratio nationwide is estimated to be approximately 75%, while the median for California-based plans is estimated to be approximately 82%. On slide Slide 3, the total annual contribution rates across all stakeholders increased to $615.8 million, with the largest component being the contributions of $336 million to the UAL and interest on the UAL. The city's normal cost increased to $115 million, representing the model cost, the annual model cost of benefits. The cumulative member contributions increased as Tier 1 members retired and Tier 2 members were replaced. The Tier 2 members are responsible for larger components of contributions, normal and administrative costs. Also, ROS is serving 15,805 members and beneficiaries, which is an additional 445 members, an approximate 2.9% increase over the previous year. This is mostly due to the increase in the inactive employees as well as the newly active federated members. On slide 4, you see the projection of city contributions over the next 20 years. Keep in mind that this data assumes that all estimates and of the model are 100% accurate and meet all of those expectations. I will draw your attention to the year 2029. This is anticipated to be peak contribution year with a slow decline for the following next 10 years. Looking at the more dramatic change from 2040 to 2041, this drop represents the completion of liabilities generated by the Great Recession and actuarial assumption changes made in that similar time frame. Lastly, I will point out that the Fed normal cost along the bottom, this is the annual cost of federated pension benefits accrued. You will see that there's slight increase over the years due to inflation in salary and general economic inflation. Police and fire follow a similar path, but it's harder to see in the chart. With that, I'll pass for slide 5 over to Bill.
So one of the items we wanted to present is how the system got to where it is so that we keep in mind the history. We showed there's about a $3.1 billion unfunded liability. This chart breaks out the sources of that unfunded liability by different years. And so on the left chart, you can see police and fire. On the right chart, federated. and it breaks it into 5 categories of sources. The first thing I wanted to point out to you is that 2007 to 2009 period. That's when the Great Recession really hit, and all of the pieces there added about $1.25 billion to police and fire's unfunded liability, and almost another $1 billion to Federated's. So that was 2.2 billion of the 3.1 billion came just in that 2-year period. The gold bars for each of the years are the investments. And so here, the gold bars that go down, those are good years. The gold bars that go up are bad years. But you can see how those have oscillated over the period. And we've had to ride that roller coaster, and that's something every pension plan has had to do during these periods. The purple bars are the assumption changes, and most of the assumption changes you'll see increase our costs. That was also something that came from the Great Recession, because not only did we lose on the investments, but the expectation of future investment returns dropped significantly as well. And so we had to gradually over time reduce our expectations for future investment returns. The plans were at 8 and 8.25% assumptions. They're now down to 6 and 5/8% assumptions. So those were the big pieces. The other piece I wanted to point out to you is the red bars there. That's the effect of contributions. Each year, your contributions and the members' contributions first go to pay for the new benefits that are earned. Then they pay for the interest on the unfunded liability. And only after you pay for those 2 pieces can you start paying down the unfunded liability. Well, back when the Great Recession started and we created that huge unfunded liability, our contributions weren't high enough to start paying that down. And we had to build those up as quickly as we could. It was very painful for all involved. But you can see over the last 5 to 10 years, those have been steadily paying down that unfunded liability. So I think that's...
Thank you, Bill.
Our last slide?
That is our last slide. So with that, we're happy to address questions from the council.
Great, thank you for the presentation and all of the explanation. Tony, why don't we go to public comment first, if we have any?
I have no cards for this item.
Okay, great. So coming back to the council, see if colleagues have questions or comments. Vice Mayor.
Sure, why not? This seems like a subject I should be asking a question about, or challenging Councilmember Casey to ask a question. Really, I just have a comment that it's important for us as council, as we go through the budget process, to understand the impact of the unfunded liabilities and how that affects the general funds, because those dollars come directly out of general fund dollars. As the UAL decreases, then the amount of general funds that we can allocate for other programs, services, staffing, et cetera, increases. So it's really important for us to keep our eye on that number. And as we go through the budget, whether you may not notice it, but it's a big number that will be paid out to the Federated and Police and Fire to cover the unfunded liability. So it is important to see that. I know the number is fluctuating, and it went down last year, and the numbers you just gave us are a positive sign. But I'm not sure that's going to continue. So Bill, in your crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen with our UAL in the next year or so?
I wish you'd asked me a week or 2 ago. We don't know where the returns are going to end up June 30th. June 30th is our date that's important for us because that's what we use to set the contribution rates going forward. I understand right now we are not meeting our assumption after the last market turmoil the last week or so, and we are down. But given that volatility, we have to wait and see where we are at the end of June to give you an update, really.
Thank you. And as many of our investments are tied to the stock market, they're also real estate. It's quite a variety of investments that we have. It's a tremendous portfolio, so some may be less influenced by things that are happening right now, or others to a greater extent. So it's really about the smoothing trend. Do you want to talk about smoothing, or is that a little too much for this meeting?
Yeah, let me just, whatever the investment returns are this year, we only recognize 20% of that. And so it won't immediately hit. We'll be recognizing 20% over each of the next 5 years, along with whatever happens in the market subsequent to that. So that's the actuarial smoothing that helps take some of the sharpness off of that volatility in the assets.
Thank you for that. That's really helpful, and I really appreciate you being here. Your presentation is timely, John, because it is just as we're hitting the budget cycle and for us to think about it. With that, I'll move acceptance of the report.
Great. Thank you. And Vice Mayor, I appreciate your comments. I was at my first budget town hall out in the community last night out in the Villages, District 8. Councilmember Candelas took the time to come out. And I always keep in that budget presentation, as did Mayor Liccardo, and I imagine mayors before, kind of the status of these funds and the unfunded liability, because it is so impactful. And I forget the exact percentage. I know the dollar amount's around $330 million that is coming out each year across the funds. That's on the order of 15 to 20% of the general fund. I mean, you just think about what that means, the kinds of trade-offs we make with $330 million. You know, you're almost getting another whole fire department. So it's a big deal. I want to thank our past councils and the voters and our bargaining units who did go through a pretty painful reform process. And we are on a glide path. Most of the benefits of that glide path to paying all that off will come in the late 2030s. So some future councils will have some dollars to spend on services. It'll be a great thing for our city. I do want to just, though, picking up on the Vice Mayor's comments, want to just note for my colleagues, I think it's important when we go through negotiations with our bargaining units that we always include this consideration in the analysis, and that we're always aware of, and I know this is best practice, but just that we all keep in the back of our minds whether or not we are signing up for additional unfunded liabilities, because we don't ever want to push that burden on the next generation. We're unfortunately paying the price right now. Our residents are paying the price of lower service levels because of prior poor decisions, and ultimately it's up to us as policymakers to strike that balance and be fiscally responsible and not put a burden on the next generation. So it's just a good moment to reflect on that. These are big numbers and big impacts for the community. But I appreciate, John, you and the team, all the work you're doing, and the report is helpful. We have a motion on the floor. I don't see any other hands, so we'll vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're on to item 3.5, settlement of lawsuit filed by Unite Here. There's no presentation. Do we have public comment?
I have no cards for this item.
Okay, coming back to the council, do we have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Great. Don't see any other hands. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes with Ortiz absent.
Okay. We're on to item 6.1, actions related to the agreements with MRP Pacifica Marketing for clean energy resource adequacy. We do have a staff presentation. I want to welcome Zach and Paul to the box.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Zach Strike. I'm the Assistant Director in the Energy Department and joined by Paul Enamorado, Deputy Director of Power Resources, also in the Energy Department. We're here today to present a recommendation to enter into long-term agreements for another project. This is a slide we've shown before. As we've constructed our portfolio, it's been important to take a diversified approach on a number of fronts, including technology type, duration of agreement, and geographical location, to name a few. Today's project is close by, close to Tracy, and has a number of benefits for our portfolio, which Paul will talk more about.
Thank you, Zach. Good afternoon. Paul Enamorado, Deputy Director of Power Resources. Today, we're requesting authority to enter into a set of agreements with MRP Pacifica Marketing 3. These agreements will deliver long-term resource adequacy, midterm reliability, and energy. The products will be delivered from a new long duration storage facility and an existing combined cycle facility. Just as a bit of background, resource adequacy is a state requirement for electric service providers to ensure they make sufficient generating capacity available to meet peak electric demand in every hour of the day. Both of these resources will deliver resource adequacy. Midterm reliability is also a state mandate, which requires electric service providers bring online new resources of specific technology types. Long duration storage is one of those, and this agreement would achieve a significant contribution to that requirement. And in the event that California requires either of these facilities to turn their capacity into energy, we would receive the associated market revenue for that production. The products will begin delivery in 2027 and last for 12 years for the combined cycle facility and 14 years from the long duration storage facility. And while on the slide, that's an 8-hour storage facility. The annual cost shall not exceed just over 25 million. As context, that's about 5% of our power supply budget. And the lifetime shall not exceed approximately 308 million. The price will remain fixed for the duration of the agreement. So as Zach mentioned, these agreements provide a number of benefits to the portfolio. As mentioned, both of the resources contribute to resource adequacy, which is a monthly and annual obligation required of all electric service providers. And the long duration storage is a requirement to bring online, again, new technology types, which the agreements would help fulfill. And then both of the resources fit well into our portfolio. We do a variety of modeling on our portfolio to balance affordability, reliability, and emission reductions. In 2022, we brought an integrated resource plan to Council and again refreshed that analysis internally in the middle of last year. In both instances, modeling identified a need for storage co-located with natural gas. These agreements represent the remainder of that need. Also, because the battery is leveraging existing infrastructure, it can quickly deliver the products discussed. New resources today take approximately 5 to 8 years to come online. Additionally, since the battery will be co-located at an existing combined cycle facility, the battery will displace some of the operation of the combined cycle facility and reduce the emissions by approximately 12%. And then lastly, while not listed on the slide, the developer has committed community investment funds to both San Jose and the local community for programs such as workforce development. As a bit of context, that 12% reduction is the equivalent of removing approximately 50,000 gasoline-powered cars from the road for 1 year. And that represents 1/3 of the total project share. The remainder of the project is under consideration by another community choice aggregator, and another 1/3 has already been contracted by a community choice aggregator. Middle River Power, the developer, was recently acquired by Partners Group. They have substantial experience in power markets. They're well-versed with just over 8 gigawatts of generation under management or under development. And they have about 2 gigawatts under management in California, and they have hybridized. That's the process of co-locating a battery at a natural gas facility, approximately 1 gigawatt. They have sort of pioneered this approach to the market, and there's an example of a hybridized project on the screen. So with that, staff recommends adopting a resolution to authorize the Director of the Energy Department to negotiate and execute these agreements. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Tony, do we have public comment on this item?
I have no cards for this item.
Okay.
I'll move approval of this item.
Great. Thank you. Second from Councilmember Kamei. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any other hands. All right, Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously with Dwan absent.
Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it. All right, thank you. We're on to item 8.1, first-time homebuyer loan program, equity share reduction, and we have a brief staff presentation.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. Eric Sullivan, Director of Housing, and with me is Deputy Director Banu San. So we'll go through a brief presentation regarding this homebuyer loan program. I'll give some brief context. So over 30 years ago, this program was initiated by the city. It sort of went dormant about 10 years ago. There weren't many policies and procedures in place regarding the continuity of management of the program. So as a few of these property owners came to us last year seeking to term out of their 30-year mortgages, now that the program had wrapped up, we had to come up with how to best address these issues, given the historic nature of the program. So I'll walk through a few steps here. As I mentioned, the intent of this program is to find a way to better align this historic program with our current goals around racial and social equity. Two, how do we also achieve our continuing work to expand homeownership opportunities, particularly for those who are in this program who are primarily of lower income, as this was a first-time homebuyer program. And then three, where do we look at the balancing of the city's take on based on the design of the program 30 years ago, take of equity earned in these units, as the majority of these units are primarily small in total square footage and are primarily condos. And so that's how the program was designed and why we have brought this forward, seeking council and mayor direction on how best to set a clear policy across the entire scope of this program. As I mentioned, the program scope that we're looking at, this affects roughly 438 total loans. Majority of these loans and units are small condos, very small square footage spaces that we are addressing here. And this program was intended to provide initial buyers who were first-time home buyers access to home ownership. In addition, the impact as we looked at this, as the issue arose last year with the initial first couple of buyers that came to us as they hit their 30-year marks, we gathered all the historical documents, which totaled to be just about 438 loans. The city over that time period had loaned just over $30 million, average about $70,000, and this was when these homes were valued much less than what they are valued today. So it was a very different kind of San Jose home ownership. And so we had to figure out sort of a policy here. How do we address this equity take through a modern lens around sort of our views around supporting these families in home ownership? And the majority of these loans won't be coming due till later on. As you can see, the dispersal basically between now and through 2030, you'll see just about 18 of them, and then more of them as the program had picked up speed roughly around sort of mid-2000s, and then kind of moved in, kind of died away about 10 years ago. And so you'll see sort of a bell curve arc in the total amount of these loans as they come on board. And so this slide basically lays out sort of what the approach is. Initially, what was in the loan documents was for the city to take 30% of the earned equity share at the time of sale, and that's important. So we don't budget for the revenues from this program because it's entirely seller-driven. So the seller may say, hey, I want to stay into my home, as we suspect the majority of these owners, because they can't afford to buy back in, will likely just remain in their homes and not resell. They can transfer it to kin, they can transfer it in their wills, as is any other type of asset. However, their restriction is just triggered if they choose to sell. And that's where you have the point of trigger on this. And so what is proposed here is to reduce that equity share by 50%, going from a 30% take of their equity down to 15%. And that's the quick summary of this program. I'm going to ask Banu just to walk through a little more details regarding this slide, so that way you can get a bit more sense as to how we modeled this out and thinking through some of the considerations here, since again, we don't take anything in terms of the city unless there is a sale.
Thank you, Eric. Banu San, Deputy Director, Housing Production. This slide is a summary on the analysis of the portfolio. As mentioned, there are 438 loans in the single-family homeownership portfolio at the moment that have an equity share provision. And what this table is showing is the loans that are due today and then due by 2029. As Eric mentioned, majority of the loans, though, 407 of them, so 93%, are due after 2030. The typical average loan term is 30 years. So if you look at the loans that are due today, the 13 loans, you can see if we have a 30% equity share, which is the typical provision we're seeing in the loan documents for this portfolio, the total equity share would be around 1.2 million, so around $97,000 a loan. And then the borrower's equity share would be 70%, so $227,000 a loan on average. And then if we do reduce it to 15%, then the total equity would be $631,000 due today, if all the homes were sold today, those 13 homes. And then that would be around $49,000 a loan on average. If we do reduce it to 15% and the borrower gets 85%, then that averages to $276,000 a loan. So we're asking for a subsidy reduction on average to around $48,000. And this analysis was run on the assumption that the average market value of these homes today are around $650,000. And we took that assumption based on 2024 comps of similar homes with an assumption of 4.4% annual appreciation for the analysis of the further years, which is also an analysis, a study we did for the market trend. So yeah, this is and then you can see that the loans due by 2029, 18 more loans and similar numbers. And the subsidy, I mean the equity per, the city's equity per loan is less than 100,000, so it's actually pretty small. That concludes my comments on that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both. Appreciate the updates. Tony, do we have public comment on this item?
We have no cards for this item.
Okay, great. Just coming back to the council, it strikes me that we would not design a program like this today. This is a little confusing. I've been racking my brain this week trying to understand why we did it this way. I think I've got it now, and I appreciate the presentation, but I wanted to ask, we cap essentially the sales price for folks. When somebody's lived in this home, decides they want to leave for something else, they're ready to sell, they have this asset, and we are significantly capping their upside, their equity, it seems to me. Now, I know why we're doing that, but have we done the analysis on the cost benefit, both for that low-income resident who could have a really nice nest egg for their retirement, also in terms of essentially revolving funds, if you will, coming back to the city to add to our affordable housing investments? Have we done a comparison of which is better? Are we ultimately doing more good? And I know that could be a little subjective, it's hard to say, but have we tried to do analysis of, are we better off just keeping these units deed restricted and capping how much they can sell them for, or uncapping it, having them have a nice retirement nest egg, which helps those families or individuals, but also gives us what seems to me could be tens of millions of dollars in revenue back to the city, if I'm doing the math right, that we could use to build what we really need, which is more supply of affordable housing. So I'm curious, Eric, maybe you could comment on that.
Yep, so we have a complete model, and we did the analysis of, so what if we were to remove all our restrictions as we did this consideration and say, okay, go sell it, take your share, we'll take our share, here's what it's worth. We know that number if, again, this is all based on seller choosing to sell,
right.
Owner choosing to sell, that number is over $100 million that we could get, if they all chose to sell.
Right.
But most probably won't, again, because these units were designed as affordable, and they probably, even if they were to max out their total values, given how small the units are, given how old the units are, you're looking at maybe $700,000-800,000. Does that buy you back into San Jose? Maybe. I think it all depends. So we ran some of that analysis. We know kind of what those numbers are. I think the policy question would be, so what are the balancing trade-offs? Certainly, to your point, Mayor, if we were to design a home buyer program today, will we design it this way where we're taking equity share? Absolutely not. But this is what we have. So where do we look for ways in which to address our equity component, which gives us a lot of flexibility to reduce it, eliminate it, or whether we want to, if they achieve a 30-year mark and the AR restrictions then terminate, whether we want to just allow for that termination, allow for sale, take whatever portion we can get and put it into other affordable housing purposes. So there is a significant amount of funding, again, all subject to how many of them choose to sell, and therefore determining how much.
Theoretically, over $100 million if everybody sold at market rate.
Right.
Okay. So you've done that analysis. Presumably, your rec today implies that, after doing that analysis, you believe that it's better in net to just keep these deed restricted, reduce our equity share, and essentially you're incentivizing people to just stay in these units.
It can go either way.
For the rest of their lives, which is fine. That may be the best outcome for them.
Okay. Our recommendation today is based on the following things. One, we have this historical program to which we've had very little sort of administrative oversight over because it termed out over 10 years ago. Two, we've had to consolidate 438 decades old paperwork to try to make a policy determination and recommendation on how best to move this forward. Not at all objected to remove the restrictions, allow them all to sale. That's a policy decision for mayor and council. For our considerations was trying to find a happy medium somewhere of where do you keep the balancing act of maintaining some of these units as affordable, because we would use some of the stock, though we would go and build more stock, so that's another policy consideration there. And then how to, knowing that the majority of the residents will likely not sell, so where do you have those revenues to offset those different balancing acts? There's a couple of different questions sort of embedded in there that, to us, we just simply look for direction as to how best to administer this, given the age of this program, given the, we don't budget for it, given the unlikely revenues there, but potential revenues there, and then where are some better ways in which we could invest the funds if we do receive them.
Right. Right, and presumably they'll come in slowly over time.
Right.
So I get that. Okay, well, we certainly need to address the payback of the initial loan at the 30-year. I mean, I appreciate that there's a need to do this to give these folks some relief, given that that's a lot of money to come up with all at once. So, okay, let me turn to colleagues and see what others think. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. This shows how long I've been around, because I remember when equity share was sort of the newest way that people could get into home ownership back in the 90s. So that's a long time ago. They're not really used today because it takes away someone's equity. So but at the time, they were really creative opportunities for people who didn't have the down payment, who weren't able to, who could make the payment on the mortgage but couldn't afford the down payment, nor had the ability to borrow to make the down payment from friends and family, etc. So the purpose of this program was a really good one, but it's exceeded its life cycle, I think. Equity shares really do hamper property owners' ability to sell their property because they give up 30% of their equity. That's a lot of equity. And so this program, I'm completely in support of it. I just have a couple of questions. One of the numbers we have is that there's 13 loans that are due today. What does that mean exactly, and do we consider them in default because they're not being paid? How are we handling these loans?
So due today, meaning their 30-year period is up.
Okay.
So they haven't triggered to us whether they want to sell. We just
Okay.
know of a couple that have said they want to sell, but there's nothing outstanding. There's nothing due to us. Their 30-year period has been reached.
Okay. And are these deed restricted properties while the individuals own them? Once they sell the property, the deed restriction goes away, or they stay deed restricted?
It depends on whether the 30 years are done. So if their 30 years are up, then the restriction covenant is removed, and they can then sell it at the market rate. But as long as the affordability restriction is on it, which is for the term of the loan, it will be restricted in price.
In what they can sell it for, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. That is interesting. I think one thing that we could assist the property owners with might be remove that restriction. Because if we remove the deed restriction, right, to the mayor's point, it allows them to sell at market rate, which is higher than the estimated price that you're estimating. So I'm wondering why we didn't look at that.
We can consider part of the original design and going into historical loan design documents. Each of the documents were updated throughout the years, was essentially whereas clauses that said the intent of this is to keep this as permanently affordable. That was the original intent. So we have no objection to saying, hey, we're just going to let them all term off. We're going to tell you all, turn them off and go get your equity if you wait your 30 years. Between now and 2040 is when the last one's going to go. We could set that as policy. And there's no objection to that. The reason why we did not bring that forth as a recommendation is because the initial intent of this, the design, was to used to be permanently a part of the affordable stock within the city.
Right, thank you. Maybe we can have this conversation offline a little bit, how it might be worth taking a look at removing that deed restriction now to enable those property owners, those homeowners, to potentially refinance at a lower rate than the loan that they got with the property. Or you mentioned that they could transfer it to a family member without activating the due on sale clause. So there's a lot of components, I think, that are worth looking at to see if there's ways that we can assist these homeowners, because this is their #1 source of generational wealth. And if they can benefit from that and we can help them benefit from that, then we're doing a really good thing. So I am completely in support of this, and I will move support of reducing the equity share portion.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Just to be clear, I would suggest that we either remove the deed restriction or reduce the equity share. I'm not sure I would do both. I think the idea here is because it's deed restricted, is that right, Eric? Part of what we're trying to do is make sure they get more equity because it's deed restricted, and that's putting a cap on how much equity they would receive.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a trade-off there. Okay, let me go to Councilmember Kameh.
Thank you. One of the things I heard you say was that these are all condos. I guess I was a little bit thrown off in that, you know, in the memo it says that it's in regard to single-family housing portfolio. So is it just that the portfolio is mixed?
So the majority of it, I think it's 70% of these are a form of condo, so it could be like
Oh,
condo
I
out
see.
of a duplex kind of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah. I was curious as to any conversations with the homeowners, because it seems to me that if you're allowing them to take a greater share of the equity, I thought, well, you know, it would vacate the housing unit to be able to have someone else who is looking for affordable housing to come in possibly. So I thought that was very helpful in that it stays with the spirit of why this was done in the first place, right? If they go through the 30-year period though, then they would have the ability to just sell it for market value, correct?
Yes, at the end of the 30-year period, the affordability restriction terms off. During the 30-year period, if they choose to sell, they still have to sell it to someone else at the affordable rate.
Okay, okay. And I mean, I guess it's sort of difficult in that if you're moving to, if you sell and you go to another location, unless you really make a lot of money, it's hard to it's hard to switch it around. Right? Like, where are you going to go, right? So that becomes potentially an issue. I think this is a good start, you know, you know, in conversation with the ones who are eligible, does it look like they'll sell or?
Majority of the time, the homes are not being sold. But there's one case right now where they do want to sell their home, and the 30 years are not up yet. So not only do they need to sell it at an affordable cost, they also have to sell it to someone who's eligible, meaning they need to be low income to moderate income individuals and families.
Okay, so this gives them a little bit more equity. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Not seeing any. We have a motion on the floor. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Let's move on to item 10.2. Now we have items 10.2 and 10.3 agendized separately. Do we want, Chris, did you want to take the presentations and applicant and public comment together and vote separately, or do you want to hear each item fully individually?
Thank you, Mayor. I think we have the ability to do either. I think the reason we'd agendize them as two separate items, just because they're two different sites, right? So in this instance, the applicant is the same, and they're proposing a similar sort of
it's the same program.
But we wanted to give the flexibility just because they're in different parts of downtown.
We'll definitely vote separately. I don't know if you...
I can merge the presentation into one, for sure.
Unless I'm seeing any objection from colleagues, I think we'll do the presentations will be somewhat parallel, I think, given that we're talking about the same program, same applicant, same concept. Okay, let's merge the presentations and the applicant comment, if that's okay. We'll go to presentations first, then we'll hear from the applicant for 5 minutes, and then we'll go to public comment, but I'll ask for separate motions.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Chris Burton, Director of Planning, Building, Code Enforcement, joined today by John Tu, our Division Manager for Development Review in Planning. So we have two projects before you today. We're actually doing this a little bit differently. So in the past, you would typically see land use approvals when we're ready to approve them. In this instance, we're bringing them early to give you an opportunity to give us comments and direction on how best to proceed. So we have two projects. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this one first. I'm going to switch to the other presentation. So you can just see both projects across both decks. Both projects are being proposed by West Bank, who you'll hear from shortly. The first is an existing residential project that we've already entitled, has not been constructed, called Terrain. And the development permit currently has an 18-story tower with 345 residential units and what was previously designated as a parking garage with the opportunity to be converted in the future into office. And what West Bank is proposing is that they'll come through and change that entitlement to include an 11-story data center. So it's approximately 680,000 square feet. Just to give you a little bit of context on the site, this is just on Bassett Street. It backs up to northbound 87, right there by Julian. The project is located in the downtown general plan designation. It's also zoned downtown. And this just gives you just a little bit of the background on that existing entitlement. So like I said, it's an 18-story residential building with a 10-story parking garage that was going to be office with some retail included. And it's the office component that would be changed to a data center. The residential component would remain. So with that, if you wouldn't mind, can we just switch to the other presentation, which is 10.3? And I'll just talk briefly about the second project. Then I want to talk a little bit about context and process on why we're kind of doing this differently and why we're bringing it separately. So the second project is known as the Valley Tidal Project. So this one, we have an existing entitlement. It's not for a residential use. The existing entitlement is actually for a commercial use. But West Bank, the applicant, is proposing construction of a new project, a new residential project that would include over 1,000 units, so 1,100 units. And again, this project would incorporate a 10-level or a 10-story data center with 8 floors above grade, a little bit smaller at 330,000 square feet total. This site is located right by our SOFA district, so between South 1st and South 2nd, right there just south of San Carlos. Again, similarly, this is within the downtown, both general plan designation and zoning district. So here you can see just the existing entitlement we have on site. This was a 20-story building with 2 towers, just under 2 million square feet, and it was a mix of retail and community space as well as office space. Okay, so why are we bringing this forward in this way? So typically within our downtown, we've been really focused on the types of uses that we include. Obviously, downtown is a commercial hub for the entire city, so we would typically expect to see retail and entertainment uses. Obviously, with City Council, we've been working hard to entice new residential development, especially high-rise residential development throughout our downtown. And we've always seen downtown as a jobs center, as a real sort of prospect for future growth of employment throughout the city, within the city. With that being said, we do restrict certain other uses within the downtown. This is controlled by the municipal code, by Title 20, the zoning ordinance, that allows us to consider different uses. And we mirror that with the general plan as far as what we sort of expect to see. Now, back in, I believe it was August of last year, with a memo from the mayor and a couple of others, we started to think about things slightly differently, right? The opportunity arose where we could consider projects that provided an opportunity to drive sort of economic development or other future development in the downtown that may potentially not align with our expectations for uses. And so we took direction from City Council to kind of create this San Jose Innovative Project Pathway Program that didn't really get prescriptive. So in the past, when people have come to us with unique and new ideas for projects, we've tried to create a policy solution that will fit the ends without actually getting through a process. And so the idea here was to turn that around and give council the opportunity to give us early feedback on individual projects that we could then sort of craft a process that would follow on the back end. The intent is to sort of use this sparingly. Again, we don't want to go through and make policy changes that open up uses for the downtown more broadly. We still firmly believe in this as the core and the heart of our city, and we want to be really focused on development that's furthering our goals and objectives. So that's why we wanted to think of it on a case-by-case basis. And in doing so, we wanted to kind of bring those to City Council to get that early look and give us consideration. Now, the sort of program is obviously a little bit more broad. As we think about these two projects that are before us today, both of these, as far as the inconsistency, really occurs around the data center component. So traditionally, we've not considered data centers consistent with our vision for the future of downtown. The reason being is that they're sort of very low employment density. So although they do have an indirect impact on jobs, nobody really comes to the site on a daily or regular basis, or a very few sort of people. And that really sort of takes away from the opportunity to continue to develop downtown as a vibrant and active area within the city. So that's the sort of the trade-off that we're looking at and the balance that we have here. The potential opportunities we do see relative to these projects is they do allow us the opportunity to look at some really unique and really attractive development projects in conjunction with the residential development that will help us move development in downtown, which we know is incredibly difficult right now, just given the financing markets and our ability to attract new high-rise development is really limited. So this does represent an opportunity there. Certainly data centers are good from a net fiscal impact to the city perspective. There is direct sales tax and utility user tax that the city will see relative to these uses. And then in addition, these two projects are proposing a really unique opportunity around district energy. So the opportunity to really drive our sustainability goals on net zero energy buildings. So that's really the trade-off that we're presenting today to get early feedback from City Council. I'm going to leave it to the applicant to kind of talk a little bit more about their project specifically and the potential benefits that they provide. And with that, staff's available for questions.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's turn to the applicant now. Andrew and team, if you want to take the next 5 minutes. And technically, we do give 5 minutes per project, so if you need to run a little over, you can. We won't give you more than 10, though. All right, we'll go to Andrew first, then we'll take public comment, and then we'll come back to the council.
Thank you, Mayor. We're really excited to bring this project forward. This has been a lot of time and effort in the works. And really what this is this is the future of the AI economy. And we really feel San Jose should be leading in that front. Now, when people think about AI infrastructure, they tend to think about data centers. What we really see is a number of things. We think housing is actually the most important thing for the AI economy. We all know the struggles here in the Bay Area and the tech companies of actually having enough housing, which is driving people out of our communities. And so what we started to do is actually look at a couple uses together. We think the data centers and the housing are very complementary in a couple ways. First, you've got financially, housing's very challenged in San Jose. Data centers are not. When you couple those together, you have viable projects. Where we actually started with this is on the sustainability. So residential uses a tremendous amount of energy. You need hot water, heating, cooling. Data centers emit a lot of excess energy. So when electricity comes in, you spend a tremendous amount of energy cooling it down, and then that dissipates in the air. When you actually combine those together, they're actually very complementary. And what you get is a low carbon solution and a very low cost solution for the energy, for the housing. So that's kind of where we started with this. So I'll see if this, okay. So we're looking at this in a number of realms and kind of phases. Right now, what we're talking about are 2 individual projects. We have a grander vision for what downtown San Jose could become. This is downtown Vancouver. Everything in yellow you see here is a district energy system we own and operate. It serves about 50 million square feet, and we're actually converting that from natural gas to all electric. So what we try to do is find other thermal energy uses when we develop. And really it's a low carbon solution to large scale development. And so I'll just flash a few projects we have going on. This is a large project in Vancouver where we're using geothermal. And there's a little bit about it. I'll just flip through it, not take too much time. It's currently under construction today. It's about a $6 billion project. Another one where we're utilizing waste heat from a sewer line in Vancouver to build about 6,000 units. It's under construction today. We actually have one in Vancouver, an old post office where we actually have a small data center, and we're utilizing that for office and residential. And then when you have this district energy operating, you can then think of new development, whether it's West Bank or local developers or international developers. As they come into downtown San Jose, they could actually connect into this energy source. And so here's an example of a project we have in downtown Vancouver that actually just simply taps into the waste heat that's coming from a plant a few blocks away. And so now let's get to San Jose. So sorry, I actually did break these up into the 2 projects, and so we'll actually end up combining them a little bit. So the first one is the terrain project that Chris was talking about. And really what this is about is catalyzing housing. How do we get a lot of housing built? And it's really that first wave of momentum that's super important for San Jose. As these cities gain momentum, it becomes, 1, easier to develop, easier to bring outside capital to develop more and more housing, but it also gives the council ammunition to actually extract from development projects for the things you want to do. Today, because it's so financially challenging, it's very hard to do without leaving the developers out in the cold to sit and wait. And so what we have, I'll go to the next one. This rendering actually shows 2 projects. The project on the right, separate project, which will be coming forward next month. It's the 2 buildings on the left. And as Chris said, housing and data center will capture the waste heat from the data center and feed that into the housing project next door. And we've actually already started to work on some design concepts. So what you can see here is a facade that's photovoltaic. And you'll see another version that's actually a vertical garden with pieces of art hanging from it. Now from the ground floor. One of the main concerns in an urban setting is not to make it a black hole. Like, you don't want this idea that you walk by a data center and it's just kind of void. And, 1, it does have some security challenges. We can't put ground floor retail in, unfortunately. But what we've come up with, and this is something we're still exploring with staff, is the idea of incorporating public art into the ground floor. And I've got actually better rendering. How do I go back? I'll get to it. So in between the housing and the data center, we're actually going to activate it with outdoor space. And so we really believe in green spaces that people can go to. I think one thing downtown San Jose is missing, other than bars and restaurants, there's a lot of outdoor spaces to go to. There's a couple parks, but not a lot of retail. And here's a metronomic version of that, and a couple renderings that kind of show what that will look like. Where this image would be taken would be from a balcony, a lot of greenery, data center next door. It'll have a pool that's heated by the data center. The units, all the hot water will come from the data center. The heating will all come from the data center, and there'll be a tremendous amount of excess heat for future use in all of downtown. Here's an image from the ground floor, and so you can kind of see what we're envisioning, which is to actually create these vignettes at the ground floor that we can cycle public art through. And When we get to the other slide, we can talk a bit more about what we've done in the past and what we've seen in the past and ways to accomplish that. Things we'd like to study would be, how do we activate the sidewalk or parklets outside of the data center and make sure, because we're going to have retail on each side of the data center. And so as you're walking in between those, we don't want to have a dead zone. We want a very vibrant block. And that's it. That's for the first one.
All right, do you want to go to the second one now?
Sure, is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Makes
Yeah, we'll cue it up right now. Thanks, Andrew.
Okay. All right, I won't do the same pitch again. The only thing I want to show is a couple different projects that showcase other projects we've done that incorporate district energy. This is actually the plant. We're converting right now from natural gas to all electric. One thing we like to do is actually celebrate the infrastructure. Traditionally, infrastructure is buried, people don't see it or know about it. We actually look to celebrate it. Here's actually what's going to be going on the site, which is in Vancouver, is going to be a data center, housing, and hotel project. A couple other projects that are built in Vancouver and Toronto. Seattle, we're using waste heat from a hospital. We have a project where we actually ran a loop through the ocean for cooling. And here's to our second project. So this is the Valley Tidal site. Similar idea, this is two projects you see. The building on the left is an already approved residential project. The data center and then 3 housing towers on the right would be coming together. And so we're actually looking through a couple design options, which is a mosaic tile, and we're also looking at perforated metal panels that actually incorporate art into it. So it'll be 3 residential towers, over 1,100 units. The first 2 are a lot more right angles to it, very much a green building, as you can see with our Bowtown project and consistent with a lot of our other projects. And then if you can kind of see in the back, there's a third building, which is much more rounded. We really enjoy the juxtaposition of, the round and the right angles. And there's a glimpse of it you can kind of see from 2nd and San Carlos kind of peeking through. And what this would actually lead you into is, you can see a site plan on the right. Everything in green would be a public square. And so kind of to the same theme of how to incorporate outdoor spaces that people can go to, this would be right across from the California Theater, place where people can go. It'll be vegetated. And then you can see in yellow, we would actually have retail all along the green space. So very much focused on the outdoors. Now, here's another image of the, what we're calling an art walk, where we incorporate public art. We're not there yet. I think we still have some more work to be done, and this is something, when you think of we're going to be owning these things long term, the residential will be long term, we want to make sure this is.
You want to wrap with your final thoughts?
We're really excited. We've done this before with public art. This is an installation we own in downtown Vancouver, actually with the Vancouver Art Gallery, that we cycle a few times a year. Thank you. We're really looking forward. Any questions, or I'll leave it there.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. And obviously, members of the council can ask questions of the applicant as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to go to other public comment at this point. So, Andrew, we'll come back to you if we have questions for you. Thank you. Tony, do we have comment cards?
Brian Darby.
All right. I think we have one more that was just dropped in the bin. Come on down, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor and everybody. That was an amazing, really convincing. I was just wanted to make sure that when we're planning, that we plan for safety, fire, because I think there's more of a possibility of data centers having a fire issue. And second, when they do the housing, if there's a way to incorporate childcare into those housing situations, that's a real, next to paying for your rent, I think childcare is up there along with food and PG&E bills as far as that. So that's just my suggestions. Thank you.
Dennis, come on down.
Good afternoon, Dennis Randall. I'm here to support this application. I'm going to not tell you how great the idea is because I have the same idea myself. I mean, I've already submitted my own application for the Innovative Project Program. But I'm going to say a little bit of history. I've been in downtown San Jose since 1999 when we started development of 225 West Santa Clara. And I've been through 3, now 4 business cycles in downtown San Jose. And unfortunately, San Jose has a habit of taking new ideas and studying them, and the opportunity of the timing of the opportunity passes. This is an opportunity that San Jose should grab a hold of. AI is unbelievably important. Everybody I'm talking to in my world is all about looking at Silicon Valley for AI investments. This will put San Jose at the forefront, not just nationally, but internationally, on incorporating AI data center development. And I don't have to tell you all how important financial feasibility is. We cannot build anything without profitability attached to it. And this is how we make it happen. If we don't have this going forward, nothing's happening in downtown San Jose. I don't even want to speculate on how many years. It's not good out there. It's very difficult to make anything happen. So I'm here to put some context into the challenges we face as promoters of San Jose. We very much want to see San Jose become the rightful ownership of a world-class city, and this is one way to do it. Thank you.
Back to council.
Great, thank you. Let me just offer a few opening comments and questions and turn to colleagues. Chris, I want to thank you for bringing forward our first item for early consideration under the Innovative Project Pathway Program that some colleagues and I suggested last year. And the whole idea here is, I think everyone's aware, but just for the benefit of the audience and the public watching online, is that we don't want our zoning and current land use designations to get in the way of innovation that might pencil today. We understand how hard it is, to the comment that Dennis just gave, how hard it is to attract investment into our downtown. We have approved a lot of housing that has sat on the shelf, hasn't gotten built because it doesn't get financing. And we want to say to the market, and I appreciate the council's support in taking this approach. It's a little out of our comfort zone, a little different than we normally do business here, and I think it's a really good thing. We're saying to the market, come pitch us on your biggest, best, craziest idea that you believe can actually get financed and built today. And what we're contemplating here is streamlining the approval and aligning the underlying planning to fit the project if we as a council agree, and we're helping to establish some standards essentially for our planning department as we review some of these early considerations. We're helping to define some criteria that would say if there's clear public benefit, we're okay getting out of the way and changing a general plan that would be blocking you from doing this, essentially. And while on the one hand, I want to just acknowledge, because I think it should just be said, data centers are traditionally not a great fit for downtowns, and we should just acknowledge that. I think when it's paired, as I thought Andrew presented so well, with the ability to create leverage to finance dense housing, the ability to build out a district energy system and over time transition our downtown to be truly carbon neutral. When built in a tasteful way with an incorporation of public art and being really thoughtful about activation so we're not creating dead zones, I do think, and by the way, let's also note, general fund tax base that can be used to pay for more activation and many other things we need: police officers, firefighters, road paving, park maintenance, and all the rest. I think it becomes easier to see how a project like this can really benefit the entire community, and any concern we might have about bringing a data center downtown would be really outweighed by those public benefits. So I want to thank my colleagues, Vice Mayor Foley, council members Salas, Cohen, and Condellis for signing on to the multi-signature memo, which does a few things. First, it recognizes that we should move quickly on this opportunity because it could be fleeting. This moment where we have power and there's this incredible demand for computing power and there is capital sitting out there ready to be deployed will pass. And time truly does kill all deals, so we need to move quickly on this one. Number two, it requires that the residential buildings begin rising out of the ground before a data center facility can operate, because we recognize the data center is what will most easily get financed, but again, it needs to be tied to the actual delivery of a real public benefit beyond just the tax base enhancement. It also recognizes that there's a nexus between, specifically in downtown, between data centers on privately owned land and a potential lack of vibrancy. It's not a structure that's going to have a bunch of people coming in and out every day. It's not a destination. And so we asked staff to explore tying a small percentage of the future revenue from this downtown data center, or potentially multiple, to arts, entertainment, and cultural initiatives that contribute to downtown being alive and being a destination. And I want to make clear that I think that is, just add, that should really just be undertaken if and only if the data center projects move forward. We don't need to go spend a lot of time on that if they aren't moving forward. And then lastly, we do ask in our multi-signature memo that the builder ensure that the ground floor of the data center is creatively activated above and beyond a public art installment. And I know this was important to many of my colleagues. It's important to me. So we're asking the applicant and inviting the applicant to be really creative in how we activate that space. So I'm grateful to West Bank and partners for bringing this forward, council colleagues for supporting both the Innovative Pathway Program as well as the multi-signature memo for these two projects. I do want to just ask two quick questions, and I'll turn to colleagues. Chris, can you just remind us of the process? So we're giving some feedback here. I know you're taking extra careful notes today because we haven't had, these are our first projects to come through this Innovative Project Pathway Program. What is the project, what happens after this?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And part of the design of this as a program was to not specify a direct process, because understanding that different projects may have different requirements or different circumstances that we want to adapt to. One of the ways we're sort of largely looking at sort of inconsistencies with the general plan, but obviously the general plan's a pretty broad document, so there's ways to kind of work within that. And we do have things like the plan development zoning process, which can be relatively quick. I know people get sort of afraid of that process, that we can utilize to kind of move this quickly and then tie all of those requirements together. That's part of what we'll now go forward in working out with the applicant to plot what that best process is that keeps us within the sort of ability to do so in the municipal code. So still sort of determining that, but most likely we would come back to council with an approval on these two projects.
Okay, so this will come back to council one more time. I think I suspect, and I don't mean to speak for my colleagues, we'll interested to hear what others think, but I suspect we want to strike that balance between moving quickly to take advantage of what is a likely time-limited opportunity to deliver something like this, while, of course, ensuring accountability for the things that have been presented today and are incorporated into the multi-signature memo, the community benefit, if you will. Okay, and then Andrew, I'm sorry to ask you to come back down. I apologize. While you're doing that, I'll ask my question, which is really, can you say just a little more, and I know you got cut off at the end there, but about how you might activate the ground floor component here. And I understand there's not an opportunity to do retail as we imagine it, indoors at least. Is there data center office space that human beings might walk in and out of that could be maybe feel more active? Are there ways to maybe do some form of retail, even outdoor retail, kind of under the envelope of the building? I think public art is great. Can you tell us how much you can push the envelope on just ensuring? I know I have a little trepidation around the idea that this over time could just become a dead block, which we really don't want.
I mean, first off, we all have an alignment of interest. We don't want a dead zone either. We're going to have buildings on each side of it. We're going to be successful based on people wanting to live there, and people want to live there based on vibrancy. So first, there's an alignment of interest with all of us here in this room. First off, there will be office space. There's administrative, there's office space. There's not a tremendous amount of people in these like an office building would, but there's still people in there operating. There is office space in there, so some people will be coming in and out of. What we'd really like to explore is opportunities outside the footprint of the building, because security is so important in a data center, of can we activate the sidewalk a bit? Can we look at parklets off it? We have a lot of ideas. I mean, this is kind of, as a company, where we like to thrive, and like to explore that with you guys as we go through this with staff. But there are certainly other ways to enhance the ground floor other than ground floor retail.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks, Andrew. Okay. Let me turn to colleagues, and we'll start with Vice Mayor Foley.
Thank you. This is really an exciting opportunity, I think, and I want to thank Andrew and West Bank for their two proposals on their two separate properties. Last year, I co-authored a memo alongside the mayor and former council member Davis that created the Pathways program. Mayor already went into a lot of that, and this is actually the fruition of that innovative plan to take away some of the roadblocks that create development in downtown San Jose. That's what we're looking for. But as the mayor mentioned, data centers aren't necessarily compatible with downtown. As noted in the staff memo, data centers are low employment uses that don't generate foot traffic or create vibrancy, and of course that's what we want. We want people downtown, we want vibrancy, we want activation. To the extent that data centers can unlock the development of desirable uses in downtown, for example, high-density housing, which is why it's important they go together, then data centers are at least worth considering. The mayor mentioned this compatible use in downtown, and it's critical that we demand certain conditions in order to stay true to the spirit of the general plan. The reason we're considering a data center in downtown is because it accompanies high-density housing, and that's one of the reasons that Mayor, myself, council members Salas, Cohen, and Candelas have all co-authored a memo that really sets the direction of what we'd like to see in this project, these two projects going forward. So I don't need to read the memo because I think the mayor did a really good job of capitalizing what it has to say, but there is also an opportunity to explore a small percentage of the income that will be generated, and mind you, there's no income being generated right now. So any income we receive will be a benefit to the city, and we're asking staff to explore the possibility of looking at using a portion of those to support the arts and entertainment and cultural program. But the ultimate goal, I think, is the data centers are the tool to build the housing and activate the space. But I think we need to hold West Bank accountable to make sure that it's not just an art wall, that there's activation, whether it's parklets, whatever is in the front that we can activate and create spaces to bring people and activate people downtown. We must consider that. So with that, I will move the first memo on item 10.2.
Great, and that's the multi-signature memo, which includes the...
Yes. And that's, didn't I say that?
You're right. Yeah,
Okay.
it's the most. Yeah. Okay.
If
Just
I
wanted
didn't
to make
say
sure.
it, it's,
No, you
it's
got
our
it.
memo, which
Yeah.
includes a staff recommendation and our several points.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So we have a motion on the first project.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Let's go to Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank West Bank for proposing this project. I was looking at the slides and just the report, and it's definitely seeming innovative. I think it's something that our downtown needs, and I'm glad to see that we are on the cusp of making that a reality. I guess I just have a few questions. The first one for you, sir. First one would be, I didn't see anything in, I guess, the memo or anything in the presentation in regards to if there's any affordable units that are going to be generated in this project. Is there?
Yeah, right now we're just we're working through the inclusionary housing ordinance, so we would satisfy all of that.
Oh, really? Okay, so do you have an idea of how much, I guess, you would be renting these units for?
The rental of all the units?
Or just one, I guess, for an example. How much would somebody be paying to rent here?
I mean, there's going to be multiple within the unit mixes, so there's going to be studios, 1s and 2s. I mean, it's not an affordable housing project. What we see is from addressing affordable housing is we need a wave of development, to be completely honest. We need market rate being built, and I think what that does is give you the tools needed to actually produce more affordable housing. I think right now, if I'm completely honest, the economics aren't there where the city can actually demand affordable housing, because then the projects just don't get started. What we see with this is the data centers, the housing get built in this wave of development. It starts to bring other development, other capital in. Then you can start requiring, like a lot of other cities do.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure you guys have relationships with the trades. Where are you guys in conversations regarding this project?
We're in a lot of discussions. We're actually trading paper right now on an agreement, and I feel pretty confident we're going to get there.
Okay. Historically, have you guys worked with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, every city we're in is a little bit different. If you go to Seattle, we don't sign PLAs traditionally, but we work with unions. And so if you go to our projects in Seattle, it'll be almost all union.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's my questions for you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
In addition, all the work PG&E is going to be doing is also a tremendous amount of IBEW work. That is one thing I'd commend this council of. What makes this a possibility is the work you've done with PG&E. And, they have been amazing to work with over the last year on this. They've hit every timeline, and that really is a testament to the work you've done getting them to the table and those agreements.
I guess one more follow-up question, because I know I heard the mayor say public benefiting project. This is a project that benefits the public. I heard you mention the art installations or potential art installations. Saw the substitute one you had there looked amazing. I think it'd be great to have something like that. Other than art and other than the private construction of this project, which will be privately owned, what is the city getting for this major subsidy that we're offering?
Yeah, you're going to get two things. One, the revenue. On the revenue, you don't have to provide a lot of services to the revenue that comes in on the data centers. And really what you're getting is housing, a tremendous amount of housing, and the future ability to do a district energy system in downtown San Jose. And I think that district energy system will set San Jose apart from all the other cities in America. And what that will provide is future developers, as other colleagues want to develop in downtown San Jose, the energy costs are going to go down because they don't need as much electricity because they can pull off this district energy system that's effectively using waste heat. So that one creates the ability to build for less. You don't need as much equipment in your building, and your energy costs go down.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Councilmember. Let's go to Councilmember.
1 second. One more question. One more question. Chris, no, not to you. Sorry about that. Chris, have we looked, I know that the main reasoning for this policy regarding the innovative pathways, right, is for streamlining. Is there any other, it's been a while since I've read it, is there I guess, tax incentives that are going to be used, or are they going to get are they able to look at they are getting this amount of dollars on break thanks to this innovative pathway.
So the, excuse me, the Innovative Project Pathways program doesn't include any direct incentives. It's just about sort of process the program is designed. As to the sort of, I just have to think about what else is out there, but whether or not the projects qualify under the downtown residential incentive would be relative to timeline as to whether or not they meet those requirements.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councilmember. Appreciate it. Let's go to Councilmember Kamei.
Thank you. I really like the creativity of both projects. I think that it's something very unique, very different, and certainly very much needed in terms of both the housing as well as future energy, as well as wanting housing in downtown to move forward. So thank you for that. I was wondering, Chris, the taxes that are supposed to benefit the city, is that a net amount after distribution, or is that?
Correct. Yeah, that's direct revenue to the city for both property tax and utility use tax. It's an estimate based on, I think, what we've seen with other data centers throughout the city.
Okay. And then in terms of, I'm curious about this district energy system. I know that the two projects are separate projects, but eventually there's a sort of connection or future connection should a district energy system be implemented. Is that like something that would happen separately, or is it part of it? Because I can imagine that the facility for the data center will be built and the housing will be built, and it could be self-contained and plumbed for future whatever, right? So I'm just curious as to at what point does this district energy system happen?
Yeah, so the intent, I think, would be to sort of include provisions in the approvals that sort of tie that down. If council's sort of giving us direction that part of the consideration of the project is, are the things listed in the memo, and that sort of part of what we would consider as that trade-off is the benefits from the district energy system, then we would condition that as part of the project.
Okay, so it would be part of the development agreement and all of that.
Yeah, a part of the approval process. I don't want to limit ourselves on the specific method we would get to that, but yes.
Right. But I mean, it would be part of that process,
yeah, exactly.
Right? I was just curious as to whether or not this district energy system was going to be totally separate, or how that was going to happen, because just from the photos from Vancouver, it's quite extensive in terms of what has been done in Vancouver. So I was just curious, how would something like that sort of that's a lot of infrastructure.
So let me qualify one thing. So I think, from the perspective of the project in this process, we're really considering that between the sort of mix of uses on the site. I think there's the opportunity for future discussion about a broader district energy system, which would obviously be much more complex and involve a lot more infrastructure and process. So I think that's, a future opportunity for us to explore with West Bank and obviously other departments throughout the city organization. But for the sort of specific approval process, it would be about tying those two uses together on the site.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think it's tremendously innovative and very creative, so thank you for that.
Thanks, council member. And my understanding is that once you start going under city roads is when it gets a little more complicated, but we'll get there. Yeah, but at least for that site, those buildings can all be connected, which is a start and is itself pretty innovative and exciting. Okay, let's go to council member Mulcahy.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Well, I love that San Jose is embracing innovative land use strategies for mixed-use developments, and I want to give a shout out to those involved in creating the innovative project pathways. You guys are going to have to come up with an acronym for that, because that's a tongue twister. And I want to say thank you to the mayor and vice mayor, council members Salas, Cohen, Candelas for capturing, I would sort of consider key upgrades to the proposed go-forward plan, mainly citing areas of concern and areas of opportunity. Look, I've always believed that San Jose should expect thoughtful, creative, and world-class buildings, but also with real attention to our ground floor uses in these unique mixed-use buildings. And I support dedicating portions of the income, and I want to say thanks for doing this, from the dead space of these buildings for the arts, entertainment, and cultural sector. Because the reality is arts and culture is in part the reason residential works in downtown. It creates a there for our renters and buyers. The memo refers to a small amount of 5, 10, 15%, but I think we've seen support letters coming out from our arts community, because those that are out working to do work in the arts, culture, and entertainment field know that every little bit helps. And I know that this sector of our economy does more with a dollar than most. I had a question for Andrew. I think you're good, because I think the mayor asked it really about the activation of the ground floor. But maybe I'll go to Chris, because the other piece of the dead space, right, was trying to be creative and innovative about the design, what faces the public, right? So everything above the ground. Do you see, Chris, in some of the early rendering work that you've seen, any need for additional policy work or ordinance work on our part to allow things like the big mass public art piece on the side of the building, or lighting, or the kind of material used on the exterior of these buildings? Because I want to make sure the whole point is to be innovative and, hey, we're moving forward in the, whatever century this is. What can we do, or what else do we need to do to make sure that we can unleash the design capacity of the likes of the West Bank?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I thought we were great until you said lighting, and then I'm like, wait. But I think we have the opportunity through the process to really figure those pieces out. Again, I didn't want to get too prescriptive coming into this, so that we could design that process to give us as much flexibility as possible and think about how we wanted to integrate some of the direction that we hear from council. So I think it's just important to highlight the things that you expect to see and want to see out of the project, and then we can work around that on the back end.
And I'm not suggesting we be prescriptive. I'm saying, how do we make sure that we're not?
Yeah.
It took us how many years to get digital signage in downtown San Jose? I want to make sure that things like that don't eliminate the creativity and, big wow ideas for a building that really isn't going to contribute much at the ground, but could be something significant above there.
Yeah. And I think certainly the PD zoning gives us a lot of flexibility around that. I think from a sort of public art standpoint, creative material usage, sort of, some of the things that we've seen certainly early on from West Bank, I don't have any concerns that we have limitations around that. Yeah, so I think we're in a really good place for it. If we get into signage, that's a different conversation. So I'll just set that one down for a second.
All right, thanks, Chris. So by prioritizing thoughtful ground floor uses, and I know we have some limitations there, but integrating data centers into mixed-use buildings, San Jose is setting a precedent for urban innovation that balances community needs with economic sustainability. This approach ensures that downtown remains vibrant while addressing modern challenges like housing shortages and energy efficiency. I want to thank West Bank, Andrew, and partners, and other colleagues like Dennis, who are looking at bringing innovative ideas to San Jose. And I trust you'll all commit to design and use principles for how we do this moving forward. So I'll be supporting the motion on the floor. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. And I appreciate you drawing attention to the building as a whole. I think the challenge, West Bank, if this moves forward, is the challenge to you is to design something that's so unique and inspiring as a piece of art that people want to drive down 87 just to see it. Yeah. Okay? That's what we're going for here. Okay, let's go to Councilmember Casey.
Councilmember Mulcahy sort of stole my thunder there, but I'm going to come at this from a slightly different angle, less optimistic. What are we going to do design standards-wise to ensure that we don't have like a dreary edifice? I mean, I know that conceptual drawings are one thing, but the proof is in the pudding, and how can we prevent some bland edifice ultimately being developed?
Yeah, thanks, Councilmember. Again, I think the likelihood is we'll end up in a PD zoning scenario with these two particular projects. So certainly that's something that we can condition in through that process more stringently than we would with a typical, just straightforward development permit. So I think we have the opportunity to require a lot of that. Obviously, the proof is then just in implementation and how we sort of follow through our process and ensure that those aspects don't get designed out at a later phase. Being very sort of upfront and eyes open with the developer sort of in partnership is what gets us there ultimately.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman. Let's go to Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you. And obviously, just to reiterate, this is coming back to count. This is an early input from council, but any decision about the zoning and design will come back later to council again. So we'll have another crack at the apple. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Right. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the technology here and the technical benefits of what we're doing. You know, we've talked about being the center of AI innovation, and I know that we heard the comment that when we think of AI, we think of data centers. The truth is that's not what I think of. AI are the software engineers who create tools that are scary to some, beneficial to some, could be very useful, will transform our economy. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of computing power that's needed. That was expanding even before AI unfortunately, because of things like Bitcoin, but also because of all of the online storage of data and everything that we were having. So data centers are an important part of our overall technology economy. You know, I represent District 4, where a lot of data centers are coming, and I've been very appreciative that many data center designers are now doing a more environmental approach to data centers, using things like air cooling, recycling water so that we're not using fresh water and dumping it, you know, and wasting a lot of water like they do in Arizona in the desert, unfortunately, as they build data centers. And it's nice to know that there will be an ancillary benefit of all the energy use, because it'll actually be used multiple times. It'll be used twice. It'll be used for the data center and then for a building next to it, which, if it were built standalone, setting aside the cost benefits of this, the economic benefits, a standalone building would be drawing energy from the grid, so being able to use energy twice is good. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of excess energy because the data center uses way more energy than a large apartment building. So I'm hopeful that this idea of setting up something that will lead us to what's happening in Vancouver will be possible so that others can tap into it. I'm thinking of the value of even San Jose State, for example, attaching into this energy grid, energy option to use reused energy as opposed to using new energy and having to generate their own or buy from PG&E. Obviously, there will be a cost benefit to them that should be much cheaper to buy this energy than to buy directly off the grid. So there's a lot of benefits here that I want to make sure we all keep in mind. I've been having, I was at the Environmental Policy Committee meeting at the League of Cities a couple weeks ago, and there's a piece of legislation that we're watching, which would require cities and jurisdictions to report all the energy use of data centers into the state, because there's a lot of skepticism about the ability of the grid to keep up and all of the things about the amount of energy that's being used. Many people have what I believe is an outdated opinion about data centers. Obviously, data centers do use a lot of energy, and there's a concern, but there are much more modern ways to do it. And when I heard people talking there, they were talking about all the water waste, all of the inefficiencies of the energy use. And I had to point out there's a lot of newer technologies that companies are using. There's more than just being concerned at the state level. I'm hoping that the state will eventually step in and create standards so that the best designs will be the ones that are used. We know that putting extra requirements on data centers is possible because data centers are still very profitable. So I don't think we're going to see data centers stop getting built if we require them to do it right. But this is a double benefit, building housing next to a data center and using the resources to fund it. So I'm thankful for the creative approach. Just wanted to point out some of these thoughts that I'm having about this, and make sure that we're thinking as a city, even as we approve data centers in other parts of the city, about how we hold people to high standards of design and environmental stewardship. But thank you for the proposal, and I'm glad that we're starting the process, and hopefully this will pan out. It is very important that we do what we asked for in the memo, which is make sure that this, as we've seen in many developments, we have multiple phases of development. The most profitable phases get built first, and many of the less profitable phases end up on hold and never get built. So I think it's very important that we do say that if we're going to do this, it's with the goal of building housing, and the housing has to be under construction before the data center is ready. So I think that element of our memo is an important one. Just want to highlight that again. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for those comments. I agree there's a lot of exciting things happening in the innovation economy and the construction of these buildings. Okay, a lot of great comments and questions. I think we are there. I don't see any other hands up. We have a motion on the first project, which is at, hold on, got the wrong address. Let me grab this. This is the one on Terrain, 323 Terrain Street, and then we'll come back for a motion on the second. Tony, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And then the second is located at 300 South First Street. There's also a multi-signature memo there as well.
Move approval of our memo and the staff recommendation.
Second. Okay, let me just pause for a moment in case there were any other questions specific to that. I think we discussed it all holistically there. Okay, Tony, let's vote on the second project, which is 10.3.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you all very much. We have concluded the agenda items for today, so we're on to open forum, which is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on any city business that was not on today's agenda. Tony, do we have any cards?
Yes. When I call your name, please come on down to the microphone. You do not have to speak in the order you're called. Cedric Garcia, Fernando Reyes, Brian Darby, and Mike Sodergren. Please come on down.
All right, come on down in any order, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, I was just wondering if the time.
Should be up.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Anyways, I'd like to bring up, I don't see it on the, anyways. I'd like to bring up a couple of concerns. One, there's a lot of people out there that are very scared of what's going on. A lot of people who are immigrants, a lot of people who are folks with disabilities. I'm just coming here to please remind people that you don't leave anybody behind, and people are being left behind. And to be really honest with you, people are very scared. I've been working with people with disabilities for about 45, 50 years, and I have never seen it this bad. And there is an underlying cruelty. You see it online, a lack of empathy. There's even a book called Toxic Empathy. I don't know how you do that. And I think we really need to be concerned about that. And just to remind, I can't see the clock here, just to let you know. Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's right there. But apologies.
All right.
We'll try to get that fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
You can come in any order.
Mike Sodergren, Preservation Action Council. Thank you all for your service again. I know I've said it before. PAC San Jose is celebrating its 35th anniversary June 27th at the De Anza Hotel. And I think it's particularly symbolic that the De Anza Hotel was built at a time during the Great Depression when there was no help from Washington. It was the local businesses that got together and built that hotel to draw people to downtown San Jose. So I hope that we will see all of you there. I also hope that you'll understand that the conversation is about how do we put our swords down? How do we do the things that bring housing and buildings and retain the character of the city as a part of preservation? One thing I did want to say in the context of the Innovative Project Pathway Program is, first of all, thank you for doing that. I know it'll cause me some heartburn somewhere along the line, with projects and where they're going to go, but I just want to rhetorically ask you if you know where 55 Market Street is and you know what happened there, and if you know where 99 Notre Dame is and what happened there. I think that you're doing the modern day equivalent of when 55 Market was built, that became May West, which at one point handled 40% of all internet traffic in the United States, right? And second of all, 99 Notre Dame handled the development of the hard disk drive. So San Jose has a very famous history in doing things innovative, and I think, Mr. Mayor and the council, you have done this with this program, and I was glad to see it talked about today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, Council. How are you doing today? Good. My name is Marquise Cedric DeVoe Gilmore Garcia, Runyon Raised, Elias, and Pelage Dobbs. I have 28 little brothers and sisters. I am the firstborn child. I was born in San Jose, left on the freeway in San Jose, was told that by the California people that my adopted family was going to be good to me. They abused me. They kicked me out. I lived outside homeless as a 9-year-old child. And your police officers arrested me and brought me back to them every time I said, please don't bring me back. It is not an issue of being homeless. The issue is you're not listening. And now that I'm older, I've told myself that because of the sadness that I had to endure in this city, I will make it better by going to every other city and help out every homeless shelter everywhere. And I did that. I was just in Eureka probably about 3 months ago. I made them an entire new website labeling all the homeless shelters, all the places that are employment agencies, everything for them for free. I come back down here because my ex-wife's grandfather passed. And I have never been so ashamed of this city. I called all of you on Monday. Every single council member, I called you on Monday. And none of you returned my calls, except one. So I sent you guys an email regarding the VTA, regarding the homeless, regarding the strikes, and everything that you guys are doing wrong. Maybe you guys can find some time to open up the email and read it. I do not care. I am leaving again.
Thank you. Next speaker.
We cannot change what has already been done, but we can prevent further harm to our society and future generations by advocating for the public health and welfare of our people. In fact, under municipality policing powers, it is your obligation and duty to enforce public health and welfare for the people. I make a demand for Mayor Mahan to set a new precedence across California by implementing body cameras on all San Jose City Council members moving forward. This helps promote accountability and removes any further malfeasance and rumors. San Jose leadership has severely let down its people. Today, Omar Torres, a former city council member, has been convicted of crimes against children, yet instead of previously holding him accountable through a recall, the city council allowed him to resign, shielding the reputation at the expense of justice through plausible deniability. The previous Vice Mayor, Kamei, and other council members knew about his actions, but chose concealment and silence and complicity. San Jose Council has attempted to interrogate the San Jose Police Department to relinquish the names of the whistleblowers to silence them, which led to San Jose Union issuing a cease and desist against the criminality. The City Council must publicly call for other victims of Omar Torres to come forward and ensure their voices are heard. San Jose's history of backdoor deals, such as signing non-disclosure agreements with corporations like Google, further erodes public trust. Recently, allegations were brought to my attention in connection for these backdoor deals that San Jose City Council members like Peter Ortiz and others, along with Gilroy City Council members Rebecca Armendariz, allegedly had previous involvement in the attempted murder of San Jose citizen Paul Soto, a prominent Chicano advocate of historical landmarks here in San Jose, highlighting the depth of corruption as the city further retaliated against Paul Soto thereafter with the false restraining order for exposing this attempted murder and the sinister agenda of gentrification and systematic oppression targeting the east side of San Jose. Additional crimes against children, including those of sexual misconduct in our schools of San Jose, remain inadequately investigated and or are purposely minimized to conceal damages, leaving victims without justice. The Santa Clara County Board of Education has also misused over $135,000 of funds that contribute to education. Adding to these injuries,
Thank you. That's your time. Back to council.
Okay, thank you to everyone who commented during open forum and otherwise at today's meeting. We are now adjourned.